Hello, everyone. I'm standing in front of you today to talk about a topic that's sobering. It's an uncomfortable one, but surely not as uncomfortable as not talking about it. This topic has created a deafening silence in our society. It's a taboo, with a burden so heavy that so many of us have to carry around and pretend like it's just not there. So today, I'm going to be attempting again to break that silence and to shed some light on the darkness that is hiding behind our shadows. Sexual harassment. Sexual harassment is not some sort of story. It's not something that we only hear about from a friend of a friend or read in an article that we find on the internet. It's not just a shwiya ashta. Sexual harassment is when one is forced to engage in an unwanted conduct of a sexual nature. This conduct is intended to violate that person's dignity or to make their environment intimidating, threatening, demeaning, hostile, or degrading. I'm sorry. Sexual harassment can be verbal, such as every whistle or unwanted comment we receive about our bodies or body parts as we're walking on the street, for example. Or it can be non-verbal, and it's through a behavior or a communication that doesn't involve physical touch, nor does it involve talking, but a strong, uncomfortable sexual intention. Or it can involve physical contact, and it includes any unwanted touching, grabbing, pinching, hugging, or kissing, etc. Sexual harassment is a recurring event. It's a serious problem that lives and exists between all of us. It happens on the streets, on car rides, or public transportation, on social media, in workplaces, at schools, and sometimes even in our homes. It's everywhere. And yet, for so long, and even nowadays, we treat it as a secret or a whisper. And we really shouldn't, for more reasons than one, but mainly because when we don't address the problem, we're not trying to solve it. We're not even acknowledging that it's a problem. Sexual harassment is it's not something that we should whisper about or stay silent or bury in silence. It thrives on silence, and it feeds on fear and on looking the other way. Our voices are weapons against such injustice, and when we raise them together, we don't only break the silence, but we shatter the systems that allow this nightmare to persist. I'm currently 20 years old. I've been receiving inappropriate catcalls almost every day since I was 9 years old, multiple times a day, whether I was wearing 2 layers of clothes or 10. I was physically, sexually assaulted for the first time in my life when I was 14 years old. I had a job at the time, and the guy I was working with was supposedly driving me home. But little did I know that that was going to be the night that changed my entire perception of the world. I didn't say anything for over a year. I was scared, I was confused, I didn't know who to talk to or what to say because I had no idea what sexual harassment meant, let alone how to deal with it. The only advice I got was from the predator himself, and he told me not to say anything, and so I didn't say anything. And then I got a scholarship to ICAGC, and I got the opportunity to work on a project that tackles harassment. During that time, I spoke up, I shared my story, and frankly, telling someone alone made me feel a whole lot lighter. I felt empowered. I felt like my no means something. I felt like my voice is finally heard. And then at the age of 16, I got sexually harassed again. I knew it could happen again. I just didn't expect it to. But it did. And it sent me back to the same loop of guilt and shame and spiraling self-doubt. Because this is what sexual harassment does. It doesn't just touch and stain your body, it rewires your sense of worth. It erases your trust in others, and it completely suffocates your ability to feel comfortable in your own skin. And I'm not only speaking for myself. In 2016, over 1,000 women participated in the International Men and Gender Equality Survey in Lebanon, and 2/3 of the female respondents reported experiencing sexual harassment in public places, and many of the incidents took place within the 3 months preceding the survey. And then 4 years later, in 2020, Lebanon's parliament issued Law 205 criminalizing sexual harassment. And then in 2022, a study conducted in Tripoli by the UN Women and NGO CAFA, it showed that 68% of the 540 women surveyed experienced or witnessed sexual harassment in taxis. In the 2022 Lebanon Gender Barometer put together by the National Commission for the Lebanese Women, the results show that 50% of the 2,400 women surveyed have experienced sexual harassment, and 97% of them did not file a complaint. Why? Because of the limited awareness and education about sexual harassment. Because of the legal and procedural barriers of Law 205. Because of, and I will quote, nothing will change. Because of the what were you wearing question, because of feeling ashamed, because especially in our society, if a woman or a girl reports sexual harassment, the conversation often shifts away from the crime and towards her character. Suddenly, her worth is public gossip, her reputation is stained, her family's name is dragged into shame, and far too often, instead of support, she's faced with blame, sometimes even from her own parents. And in the most heartbreaking cases, she's pulled out of school, she's isolated from friends, she's stripped of her future, her education, her physical and mental well-being, her very sense of self, all sacrificed at the altar of a culture that punishes the one who speaks up instead of the one who harmed her. So no, let's stop blaming the one who comes forward. And it's about time we stop labeling girls victims and point our fingers to the predator instead. My project, Tahaddathi, it really taught me a lot. It taught me almost everything I need to know about all types and aspects of harassment. One of the very first things I learned was that sexual harassment is not exactly a problem that can be solved. It is one that can only be potentially prevented. I thought that my project helped me process my trauma, and in many ways it did, but only partially. It helped me find my voice again, but not complete peace. It opened the door for me, but it didn't walk me all the way through. And healing, I've learned that healing is not just a single breakthrough. It's a series of slow and uneven steps. I still have a long road ahead of me. One where I can finally stop pressing rewind in my head and stop blaming myself for a crime that I didn't commit, and to finally give myself permission to heal. And this journey is hard on its own, and it's even harder trying to help others to do the same, and even harder still to convince my society that change is its responsibility too. Being a woman in a society like ours is difficult by its nature. And by experiencing continuously sexual harassment, no matter at what age, and then being told afterwards by our loved ones that it's something every girl has to go through, or just ignore those who catcall you, or keep it to yourself to preserve whatever's left from your reputation, we are being raised to believe that we are meant to harbor and to tolerate an unbelievable amount of violence on a daily basis to the point where it's dehumanizing. I'm sorry. One thing worse and heavier than harassment is having to deal with its trauma. And by holding back this trauma, I'm not doing myself or any other girl any good. If anything, holding back the trauma makes living a harder task to do. So to those of you who've experienced sexual harassment, you are not defined by what happened to you. You are not defined by what happened to you, and you are not weak for feeling broken. And you are not responsible for someone else's abuse of power and lack of understanding that consent is a basic human right. You're a human being who has every right to live feeling safe, every right to not be invaded. Don't stay silent in the mouth of trauma. Talk to someone. For me, being silent was the harshest crime I've committed, and now I have to bear the thought that the person who harassed me probably went out of his way to harass someone else, maybe younger than me. Don't be ashamed to seek professional help. Walk that extra mile I should have walked 6 years ago and learn how to be okay again. Don't allow that painful interaction to make every interaction painful. Go against everything and everyone if you must. Fight for your voice. Stand up for yourself. Report. And I'll report too. And if our law does not understand how serious of a problem sexual harassment is, we'll make it understand. And to those of you who have never experienced it, listen. Spread awareness, intervene, speak up, and teach your children to speak up. The predator does not take into consideration how young or old the person in front of them is, so don't wait for a specific age to teach your children consent. Only recently, a bunch of first graders have experienced sexual harassment on a school trip. This issue concerns you just as much as it concerns me. Breaking that taboo is not something I can do only by myself. It is only possible if we collectively raise our voices and act together. If we want a world where people can feel safe and where their boundaries are respected, it starts with a brave conversation. It begins with institutions taking accountability, not just offering hotlines, but reshaping culture so that someday we no longer have to say that sexual harassment is a problem that cannot be solved. I was rehearsing my talk in my room at home, and I noticed that I'm still whispering my words. And so I made a promise to myself that I will not leave the stage until my voice resonates with each and every single one of you. Change begins with us saying enough, even if it scares the hell out of us. Courage doesn't mean that we're not afraid. It means that we speak anyway. Thank you.